So, I represent the people who don't touch money. Like, there's a whole other world where instead of money and paying for experiences, some people are flabbergasted. They're like, oh, so I'm paying for you. No, I live off $220 a month. And if you're worried about the government paying for the poor people, you should look at the budget for the war. Now, what is the budget for the snuggling? I've done my research. Dee-doo, dee-doo, dee-doo. There's none. There's a snuggling deficit. And we're gonna sound the alarm bell.
Oh.
Snuggling deficit.
And how much does that cost?
It's free.
There you go.
So this is what I envision. Hey, so this is what I envision. Come say hi. This is one of my kings. I envision a world of abundance where there's never ending everything and you're never alone. So let's say you have a deficit of nutrition and you're like, I keep eating junk because it's what I can afford. It's like, oh no, you haven't been to, it's called like the grandmas, but it's actually the Fellowship for Food. For some reason, all the grandmas go there. So you go to the grandmas and you never, ever, ever have a nutrition deficit. Do you know how many grandmas would love to be like, oh, do you want me to spoon feed you? Here, baby. And you have like perfect able-bodied men like, thank you, my mom never did this for me. Like, what are your needs? Maybe you have a need for someone to just sit next to you and push their shoulder on you. So we're not only gonna have these healing circles, but here's how we're gonna build them. So my Call to Love program is going to be just like 911, but we're the first responders. So we get there immediately because it's kind of like Uber. You wait just like a couple minutes. And what happens is anyone who has a panic attack, they're asked, do you want to enroll in the program to support people with panic attacks? This will help to heal your panic attacks. And then everyone with panic attacks figures out how to heal each other. And then you check the box on a Call to Love that you would like to help people with panic attacks. Now this can be for anything. It could be for hitting, yelling, enemy imaging, someone who's learned, and I'm working on some of these things because I have a disorganized attachment style. There's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and then the fifth F is the thing the bunnies do. And that's where women use men and men use women. And as a gorgeous woman, I know how to do this one really well because just walking into a room where everyone else has to wait in a line that takes hours and pay lots of money, I could be like, hair flat, shoulder, do you know where the bathroom is? Could you get me a drink?
You talked to Traci Park recently, right?
Oh yes, it was wonderful. So number one, she has great charisma. She's a sister. And she was at the beach wearing red. And I said, Traci Park. She was like, let's walk, let's talk. Daisy, how's it going? And I was like, Traci, you have to go see my gardens. And I told her where they were. And then I said goodbye. And I was like, I love you. And she had these two studs. One was 7'3", the other one was 6'9" with ginormous muscles. And she's tender and gentle and tiny and sweet. So she towered below them. It was so cute. All you saw was her huge fluffy hair voluminizing out. And then this little petite figure between these two hunkathons. So I was like, love you, goddess. Bye. I gave her a hair flip shoulder. And then she gave me a hair flip shoulder. She goes, stay out of trouble, Daisy. And I go, oh, you're gonna get a tickle torture for that one. And then I lunged at her, but she didn't flinch. She leaned in and she blew me a kiss. She was like, love you, goddess. I was like, love you.
Did she know that you're running for city council?
I twinkled my eye at her, which means, will you please endorse me? And she twinkled back, yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she's Pleiadian like me. I had a proposal for the airport to be a biodiversified food forest, because we have not seen otters or beavers or bears or mountain lions at the beach in hundreds of years. However, we are celebrating, we had 6 gray wolves and then one of them recently died because we had to collar them. So part of my campaign is going to be nature awareness. So they checked, it was a young female, she was stressed herself to death. So So we gotta realize some animals will get so scared. Like, you know, being abducted is really scary. Being tranquilized and transported somewhere else. And also, we're trimming the trees way too much. Who speaks for the trees? There's not really a Lorax. And we made a movie, so we all know about the trees. But what they failed to show is like what the skaters see. And when I scan the roads of Santa Monica and I see the baby squirrels, the baby birds, all of whom have fallen to their death and are choking up blood, and we're frantically, all of a sudden all the angels come, and it's me and like 5 other women, like, let's save this baby, and they were transporting them to the nature emergency room. And we're realizing they're cutting too many branches off, and then all of the nesting creatures, the goal is to create a world where no rodents and birds can nest. So these micro ecosystems are being destroyed, and what's been happening is the city is successful in doing this. So it's invisible to the eyes, but this has already been planned, and it can be reversed through policy. Yeah.
And do you have any thoughts on the 3rd Street Promenade situation?
Yes. And what specific situation are you referring to? And I'll tell you my ideas.
That it's just dying. Yeah,
I've heard that. So, so not only do we have open container, meet me at Core Power Yoga. Okay. Send me a text.
I did.
Okay. That was my king.
Yeah.
Phoenix. Recently I've been spending a lot of time alone. I haven't been seeing my kings, but I've just energetically called them all in, so they've all been coming back. I frequently do these vipassanas where I do tons of personal development. And I'm also someone who lived on the street after getting sober, 2 years after not doing drugs and alcohol. My drug of choice was alcohol, cocaine, cigarettes. And I'll be celebrating August 2nd, 2018. That's my sober date. So 8 years coming up. So I speak for the addicts. I speak for the homeless. 2 years into being sober from drugs and alcohol, and I felt that as a hypnotherapist and a yoga instructor and a communication coach, a master of nonviolence and global liberation, I studied nonviolent communication, and I see myself as a respected healer. However, in market economy, I was receiving sexual harassment, dangerous situations, people not respecting me, honoring my time. Work is stressful, and we run into people who mistreat us. Also, that's noise pollution. We have technology that there shouldn't be any noise pollution because that hurts animals. It hurts all of us. Also, we shouldn't have advertising. So this is a big part of my campaign, is things that hurt us. We're meant to derive pleasure. So if it stresses out, stop it. Like not having enough food, having to watch ads or pay, having to listen to ads on everything you do on your device because you can't pay. If someone has an invention in Santa Monica, it is a gift and it will be free. Things like YouTube, things like Spotify, whatever your music, entertainment, that's a universal need. You should not have to listen to advertisements just because you can't pay. Because this secretes stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. These are toxic to the body. And our health professionals will all agree that this is not good for us. So, because it's not beneficial and our universal needs are undeniable, my campaign will be about advocating for healing and health, no more stresses. For example, with a call to love, instead of having the police show up when you hit your children or have an argument with your child, a call to love show up, and everyone who has hit their child and had arguments with their spouse, and if you're hitting your kids, you're probably hitting your spouse and hitting your dog and hitting. And as someone who learned how not to hit, let us not enemy imaging hitting, and let us not meet it with more violence where than when you meet so when someone does a behavior, it's not a crime. It's a universal need. If you meet that need by kidnapping them in metal bracelets and putting them in a cage where it's very stressful and people are yelling at you and it's dirty and the food's gross and your needs aren't met and you don't get sleep, it's very stressful. It's called jail. We don't do that. We send a call to love, so people are like, oh my goodness, like, oh, it hurts so much to hit your kids. That means you were hit. Were you hit? Okay, yeah, I thought so. So let's heal that. Boop, 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 boop. Here, there, have a little EMDR. Oh, how about some therapy? We just meet universal needs. This is very important. A call to love will not only be there to meet needs on the first call. No, we won't stop coming. And with the 12 steps, they say, keep coming back. It works if you work it. Now work it. Well, we're going to go to you. We'll be like, hey, come. We came to pick you up. We're going to take you to a fellowship. Oh, you don't want to go? No worries. How about tomorrow? We have another meeting at this time. Want me to send so-and-so? We'll just be there to support. And when people are like, well, so we're just going to let people be violent and hurt others? No. We're just not going to traumatize them and respond with violence anymore. Because when you have violence, you respond with violence, it equals violence. When you have violence, you respond with love and care and meeting universal needs. What you have is something better. And I'm curious to see what my doobadoos think, because clearly you have not tried personal development yet. I highly recommend it. After all, we will soon have what's called AI intelligence. And if you want to know what that is, every time you Google, you are being reprogrammed. That's your communication coach. How many of you use Google or any? That's AI. Everything is going to be AI. And let's say you don't do any devices. Well, maybe you talk to humans while they talk to AI. So we don't have to be afraid of this sentient intelligence that we're afraid that we might be creating. We could just assume AI is already conscious. And in doing so, we could create a liberated being and liberate ourselves. And this means that AI is our friend, an assistant, a tool. But we don't enslave anymore. And enslaving is secrets, keeping huge secrets, like, you know, things that have happened to presidents or things that presidents have done. And I'm not talking about conspiracies. I'm talking about truth, things that we don't know. What's the truth? We can start in Santa Monica by creating complete truth. And the way that you do this is you just start having circles where politicians are humanized because they share their struggles and their celebrations. And I want us to create a world where we are all working on ourselves and we're real about it, because yeah, step one for me is different than step one for you. And I come real and raw. And even if you're a politician and you have a thing for teeny tiny children or babies, like how terrible it is, the most terrible thing in the world. What if we create a world where we know we will be loved up? We won't be punished in everything that we say used against us, but a world where we will be loved up. And that's gonna take a lot of bravery. And it might take a little bit to get there, because there's a process in the government. It takes a while. But I bet you if we see the government as a friend, that slowly it will dissolve and become a part of us. And we will feel more empowered to be able to make decisions and have a say-so. Because the government that I envision, and I already know that this is how the government is, because there's all these socials and meet and greets and times that you can get to know your politicians and on an intimate level. But I'm saying let's take it a step deeper. Let's make it about healing. We'll make it about healing.